I'm presenting our highlights from technology and pregnancy on behalf of myself and Professor Helen Murphy. So I have no relevant disclosures. From this year, we chose from thousands of articles. We took 10 that we thought addressed key issues in diabetes technology and pregnancy over the past year. Today, we highlight only 2 of those articles for you. It's well established that both type 1 and type 2 diabetes are associated with the increased risk of complications, and a large national population-based cohort study in the UK gives us contemporary pregnancy outcome data. This was actually 5 years of their National Pregnancy and Diabetes Audit, or NPID, and it included 172 clinics across England, Wales, and the Isle of Man. And they were able to include over 15,000 pregnancies in this cohort of people with pre-existing diabetes. Now, there's a few, I think, important take-homes from this study. Here's the first one, and this is a funnel plot that looks at variation between clinics and the ability to attain a target A1C. This one is for the 3rd trimester. And what they were able to find is that after adjustment for maternal characteristics, there was no difference in clinic to clinic in their ability to help people to obtain target A1C. And so really all clinics are struggling to support pregnant people to achieve type 1 diabetes pregnancy glucose targets. They were able to look at a number of outcomes. I won't go through those in detail, but I will say that in general, most pregnancy outcomes, higher risk if you have type 1 diabetes than if you have type 2 diabetes. No surprise there. And importantly, even though these are contemporary data, we see persistent adverse pregnancy outcomes in pregnancies complicated by both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. This was a very large study, so luckily they were able to look at these quite rare events, but very serious adverse events. And I wanted to highlight this here. So stillbirth, slightly more common in type 2 diabetes, albeit not statistically significant, but neonatal death was. And so when we think of predictors of stillbirth or neonatal death, above target glycemic control in late pregnancy, being of the highest deprivation quintile compared to the lowest, and interestingly, having type 2 diabetes compared to having type 1 diabetes was a risk factor for stillbirth or early neonatal death. And so while women with type 2 diabetes had fewer complications overall, the risk of those severe adverse pregnancy outcomes was either equivalent or higher. We'll move into a different study which gives us further insights into glycemic control and insulin doses throughout pregnancy in type 1 diabetes. And this is thanks to the lowest P study. And the aim of the lowest P study was this: to prospectively describe gestational changes in glucose levels, insulin doses, and insulin pump settings. And these were in pregnant people with type 1 diabetes who were all using insulin pump therapy. They included 25 pregnant people from 3 sites in the United States. And what did they find? So in terms of glucose level, here are the mean A1Cs, and you can see near optimal A1Cs by trimester when we are looking at glucose control as measured by A1C. What if we think about our time in pregnancy range? So remembering our pregnancy range is tighter than it is outside of pregnancy, asking people to get greater than 70% time in that tight pregnancy range. Time in pregnancy range was 59% in this group of people, and their time above range was 38%, so not quite meeting those targets. And very importantly, between 18 and 30 weeks, there was a significant deterioration in maternal glycemia. So a really important window for us to focus on when we're caring for these pregnant people. Only 7 were able to achieve the recommended time and range targets. They saw a 54% increase in basal insulin, a 60% increase in bolus insulin doses by the end of pregnancy. Importantly, prandial insulin adjustments were inadequate for both gestational changes in insulin sensitivity. So just remembering that we do need to be very aggressive as we insulin adjust across pregnancy, especially between that 18-30 weeks. And so when we put together the pieces of our technology and pregnancy yearbook, we really do see that there's still a lot more work that we need to do to help pregnant people with diabetes to achieve those very tight glycemic targets that we ask them for. And there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon that I think will help us to do this. A number of studies of closed-loop insulin delivery, both in pregnancy and in the postpartum period, some of them are nearing completion for their recruitment, so really exciting stuff to come still. And with that, I'll thank you for your attention.